studios. We don't have special effects. Actually, we talk about it to be fancy and shiny, and Dustin looked at me and he said, no. So we are going to have a very different presentation by being traditional. Let's put it this way. So we are offering the program since 5 years by now. And it's located in Italy, of course, Verona. Let me see, I guess you all know where Italy is, but it is a boot-shaped country, and is in Europe nearby France, Germany, Austria, Switzerland, and many other countries. And it's surrounded, the majority of it, by the ocean and the sea. Verona, you see on the other map, is northeast of Italy, and is located geographically very conveniently when you want to travel north to Germany or Switzerland, which is part of our program as well. We start with food because the Italian culture without food would not be the Italian culture, see? And you have some stereotypes that you are familiar probably, which is pasta, pizza, lasagna, cappuccino. Well, good news, we have much more than that. And we have meat, fish, vegetables, and a huge range of cakes, desserts, sweet stuff, and a lot of combinations.
No hamburger.
No hamburgers. And breakfast, you don't have eggs, you don't have bacon, you don't have waffle, you don't have bagels. You will start to experience something new. And yes, we can talk about studio, which we will on Friday, but at the end of the day, you are going to go in a place that is so different from what you experience every day. And I think you should prepare to be open to that experience and welcoming everything what is different. Cinquecento, right? The Italian design. You will be surrounded by inputs, by design examples. Not just cars, but also fashion, interior design, furniture, objects of any kind. People dressing very well on the street every day. You will feel, ooh, where are they going to? 8 in the morning, perfectly dressed. So you will experience really a different life. Oops. Verona is a beautiful city with a river crossing all the city through. And it has so many layers of history, from the Roman time all the way through the contemporary architecture. So we will study those periods of time in architecture, but also in many other ways. It's a city of stone. So our project at the end will deal with the idea of stone as well. It's the city of love, Shakespeare, Romeo and Juliet. So, you can write a message to somebody and who knows, maybe the dream will come true. We have a beautiful opera season in summer. We have a Colosseum as well, like in Rome, and it's functioning perfectly. This is where we are going to stay, in the center of the city, nearby that beautiful cathedral, and that's also where the site of the project will be, which is walking distance from your lodging where you sleep. Again, it's a city of stone, floored buildings, the arena, Colosseum, the facades of the buildings. We travel and we go to Vicenza. What do we have in Vicenza? People say, we study that on books, why do we need to go there? Well, yes, you need to go there. La Rotonda, a beautiful example of symmetry, but also a new perspective on Renaissance architecture. And we are going to visit the Rotonda. You are going to have actually an assignment. And what happens? You sit and you should actually sketch the building and not those roses as it happened in the past. People were sitting with the building in the back, sketching the flowers in front. No, you have that building in front for the first time, and maybe who knows how many other times you're going to experience that building. Sketching, very important. Every time we travel every weekend. Venice, we are going to go 3 days in Venice. This is a spectacular trip because Venice is where I study, is where I lived for 5 years, is a beautiful, unique city, surrounded by water, is super touristic and packed of people, but is magnificent. Transportation in Venice is just by boat or by walking. There are no cars of any kind. So we need to be really, aware of this, and everything will slow down, the sounds will change, and you will experience a really completely particular place. Gondola, we are going to go on the gondola. Very romantic. We are going to go in Murano, which is a small island in Venice, where they actually have a very interesting industry with glass, and they will make glass in front of us. On the beach, Al Lido di Venezia, where the film festival is going to happen every fall, and we are going to experience. It's not Sicily, I know, the water is not turquoise, transparent, but it's still ocean, it's still an experience. Well, Venice can be unfriendly, we have the tide going up, and sometimes it reaches 4 feet. But fortunately, this phenomenon, most of it is happening in fall and winter, so we will not be uncomfortable with that. But it's actually something really, really is, interesting to see. This year we are lucky because we have the Biennale of Architecture, and the director is Ryan Kulas. So we will go to visit every pavilion. Every country has a pavilion with an exhibition about architecture. We will visit Tadao Ando, the Museum of Modern Art, just renovated by Tadao Ando. We will travel with our speed train until Florence, and I pass the word to Dustin.
So Florence, we have, you guys make the point now that we're moving around every major city in Italy. So from Milan to Vicenza to Venice to now Florence, where we will go to the Duomo, get another ice cream right there. Where you'll actually go up into the cupola. You guys can go all the way to the top. You get this really amazing view, 360 degrees. You'll see the statue of David, which is a replica. Then we'll move down into Rome. So here we have the Vatican, Pantheon, Trevi Fountain.
Fellini, you should look at movies.
But also not just the historic buildings, but also we'll mix in some contemporary. So here we have the Maxi Museum by Zalman. Below we have the theaters by Renzo Piano that we'll visit. The views inside, circulation, Colosseum. But not also we'll visit Italy, we'll also have a trip to Rome. So once we complete our studio project, we'll then take a trip to Germany. To Germany. And we'll go through Munich and Stuttgart. So by this time the project is finished, so we can relax, we can have a good time, we can go to the beer garden, we can see some new contemporary architecture by Herzog Demeron, you can see the Brandhorst, which is a ceramic facade. We'll see the Friada, the 72 Olympic Arena, which some of you might know. The BMW well by Kupinoblau. The Allianz Arena by Herzog Demeron, which we'll have a full tour of. Another project by Kupinoblau, an art school. And then we'll make our way to Stuttgart, where we'll see the Porsche Museum and the Mercedes-Benz Museum. So you're going to get a full cross-section of all your European automakers. Mercedes, Porsche, you're going to get them all. The Mercedes is really an amazing building by UN Studio. Probably been one of the best buildings in the past 5 years being built. It's an incredible building. And then we end the studio by preparing an exhibition. And so all of your work will be exhibited in a pretty prominent stone exhibition in Verona. So all of you will have this to add to your credentials.
It's an international design exhibition, and many schools from Europe, USA, Asia are invited, and we represent the United States. So it's quite important to be there.
So the studio is it's very rigorous. It's something every day. We take no days off, not one. We're either working in studio or we're traveling. The traveling is mixed in. So we take breaks, we work hard, take a break, travel, experience something, and we let that absorb then, and then hopefully influence our studio projects.
And we will talk more about studio life and what we expect from you on Friday with more details about lodging, about where exactly you're going to stay in the city, how to arrive to Verona, and how we are going to travel, and the program of the studio every day, and every week, every weekend. All the details on Friday at noon here in the gallery. Okay. Thank you.
Almost. How y'all doing? So you got a little introduction of the program that Mary Michael and myself will be leading, since it will be in Venice, Italy.
I'm so sleepy. It's gonna be Venice. Woo!
City of natural and built conditions. Right.
So what's so exciting about Venice? Venice, especially urbanistically, is kind of this city that's been changing for 1,500 years. The whole surface, the buildings, everything about it just always shows this idea of change and of aggregation. So as an urban city, we're going to ask you to intervene within these ideas of aggregate streets. So these streets and bridges, it's all formed by the canals. So over all of these years, the city is just an aggregate. It started out as one island. 124 islands later, we have this. Each of the islands have independently were formed originally. So they all have a square, they all have a canal, they all have these series of fronts. And it's this weird tension going back and forth between the water and the city itself.
So the water comes in as a really important contributor to this tension, this dynamic quality between what you see, the constructed environments, and then immediately you can see the Grand Canal, but in between all of these buildings also are inlets of smaller waterways. And that waterways has tidal changes, as Maria was pointing out before, you have the acqua alta, if that's the term, but that's seasonal, where the water will come up and all of a sudden introduce a new topography change for the landscape, requiring then infrastructure to come in. So it's a constantly adapting constructed environment, as you can begin to see here. So planks, gangways get laid out. So what had initially been this network of pedestrian pathways and canals begins to adapt as the water reforms and creates alternative circulation.
And the circulation inherently, just the way that it's aggregated, is completely inconsistent. You have these alleys that are 2 feet wide or 10 feet wide. Your waterways or your voids within the buildings as well, and offer a whole different type of kind of circulation value. So what this video is going to show are kind of these two people hopping on ball hoppers, and it's supposed to indicate the kind of level of variation that's just inherent to the city itself. And it's these types of levels of primary, secondary, tertiary, backs, fronts, water, streets. These are the levels in which we're going to intervene within the studio itself. So you can, where'd they go?
They haven't
started yet. They haven't arrived. But they will. Here they come. So what you should notice are not just the layers of depth or void within the street. We will provide ball hoppers for each of you. It's our primary. So this should start to show you not just the vertical change, but the horizontal change, the way the program interacts ways in which the sizing, oh no! Those types of variations and how it goes through, up until you get to the Grand Canal. So all these blendings of water and street and function and facade and front and back, it's this kind of exciting aggregate. I'm excited.
So you also end up seeing a lot of cross-circulation strategies. You know, the bridges become a constructed route to be able to connect these separate islands. And you have boatways that navigate and create a different circulation pattern, aside from pedestrian or the floating balls that have their own means. But the other thing that the video begins to show are the changing widths of all of these routes and collision effects.
And also the scale. So it's this human scale that's derived not just by the plazas or the different types or sizes of plazas within each of the islands, but the size of the buildings and the colonnades and the way that these all are addressed through this kind of sense of aggregation. So Venice offers this kind of exciting scalar acknowledgement as well.
So what we're really interested, of course, is your intervention in the city, your intervention within the network of all of these conflicting dynamic forces. And how we're going to start that is by looking intimately at the scale of a half inch at the city and documenting it through the survey, but then zooming out to be able to get a larger intervention strategy that engages the plaza, that engages the circulation routes.
So what's exciting is that it's this dynamic nature, and what it's hoping to kind of force you to acknowledge is that the dynamic nature of architecture itself. That architecture has so many connections, from a city to water, to the land, to the void, to the solid. There's all these different layers within architecture itself. And that's what this sort of urban studio or urban intervention is supposed to focus on, the architecture in the urban condition.
And essentially, it's a precise cut through the city. So we're going to lay out what experientially is extremely complex into a method and using your skills as architects to create a clarity about how you intervene with infrastructure changes, with waterways, with natural cycle changes.
Hey, I mean, that's kind of short and sweet. We're excited.
So, wiki page is up. We'll be adding to that. Oh, and of course, you'll be spending a summer with Venice Biennale, the Architectural Biennale, directed by Ren Koolhaas. That can't be bad.
No.
And
That sounds
exactly.
great.
So we'll meet we meet this Friday in the gallery at 4:30, immediately after studio.
For more details. See y'all there.
Clifton. I just wanted, I don't know when the email is going to go out, but our meeting, informational meeting is tomorrow at 5:30.
Right.
So just to make sure, I don't know when the email.
It's going to come out tonight. All right, thank you first of all, thanks to the professors for the presentation. We'll have the email out to you about the information sessions. We'll also have out this week an estimate of each program's cost. That will not be the final estimate because we have third-party providers, those people who find us accommodations and arrange to travel within the countries, etc. And those third-party providers are still working on contracts for us. Typically, we don't have those until, well, we won't have those for another week and possibly 2 weeks. Nevertheless, we'll carry on with the lottery, and there'll be a time to switch. But I'll send that all out as well. So, right now what you should be thinking of, I think, is looking at the work on the walls, which will be up for a couple more weeks. Go to the information sessions, and then decide on where you want to go first by the program that you want to attend, and then second by the cost. The estimates that we will have to you will be pretty close, but they won't be the charges that you'll be charged. Just remember that. We'll have those for you as soon as possible. All right, any questions? I'm going to be here anyway, because I'm speaking at AIAS, I think, so until 7. So I'll hang around if anybody wants to ask questions about Paris. I don't know who else wants to stay and answer questions about their programs. Thank you. We're all really excited.